Panthers are in action tonight. I was lurking on Reddit like I typically do, and I enjoyed this from the Panthers subreddit. It's that time of year again. The image read, "Babe, it's time to watch the Carolina Panthers play football again." And it's the shriveled up meme man by saying, "Yes, honey. Are you ready for another underwhelming year of Panthers football, Joe?"
This is the one. Fool me twice, but not this year. They're in.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be a competitive team this year. I do. I can see a little bit of a bounce this year.
I'm with you on that because I think they have better coaching this year.
I think they have better players too. I mean, assuming they can get some of these two guys healthy, of course.
Totally with you on that. Health is a key feature here, and I'm being somewhat over the top with the misery that is Carolina Panthers football. And I saw this debate I saw this debate on another subreddit post of the Panthers. And we see this all the time locally when we talk about colleges, where it's like, oh, we need people to be a little bit more optimistic about the Panthers. And the pushback was, well, what exactly have the Panthers done to make you optimistic right now? I mean, it's a kind of a beaten down fan base. It sucks that it's gotten that way. But I get back to what I said yesterday with Dave Canales and what I've enjoyed so far about Dave Canales. He's incredibly positive. He seems to show his work, which is good. I'm optimistic this will continue throughout the season, even if they get off to a slow start. They're going to stick with what they know, not the BS that Frank Reich was, not the BS that Matt Rule was. I feel like Canales, of the two coaches, seems like he actually has his shit together. Now it's a matter of whether or not David Tepper will allow these things to unfold in an organic way rather than being impatient. If that's where you're going to be pessimistic, it usually comes from the form of, will Dave Tepper actually follow through on saying he's going to let things go by? Ian Rappaport was with the NFL Network. They were at Panthers camp this week leading up to their first preseason game. And Rappaport pretty much laid out what the expectations are for Bryce Young in year two.
So you're in Carolina. He's heading into his second season. Didn't go great last year with the Panthers jersey on for him. So how does he fix things? Where can Dave Canales get him in his second season?
With this new coaching staff with Dave Canales and Brad Idzik, his good friend and offensive coordinator, obviously so much of the focus is making sure that Bryce Young lives up to the immense promise that he had. And the reason, shows everyone the reason that they drafted him. And, you can go back and look at the trade and the drafting of Bryce Young. I think everyone sort of forgets it was essentially unanimous around the league that Bryce Young was going to be the number one quarterback. This is a guy who is really smart, as we know, who is very talented, and they believe can be the number one quarterback, the number one overall pick that he was. A couple of the areas of focus for Bryce Young, I would say, first of all, making sure that he is comfortable. He is a pretty relaxed dude. He's pretty cerebral. He has been speaking up in meetings more. He's been, I would say, not leading the 7-on-7 meetings, but, right there with his offensive coordinator, Brad Idzik, to tell people, like, these are the plays I like. These are the plays I don't like. This is what works for me. This is what I'm seeing. Taking more ownership of the plays and the scheme, and I think that for sure is important. The offensive line is going to be better. Run game is going to be better. Those things are going to help him. But it's also some simple things, Jamie, like this year when he gets up to the line in training camp, he knows what he's doing. And the rest of the offense does too. It's not like last year when they go to the line, they'd kind of set up and they'd be like, all right, hold on, get back in the huddle, fix this. There's not as much of that. He's going to get the ball out of his hands quick. He's going to make smart reads, all the things we know. He's going to be under center probably a little more. You are going to see a new and improved Bryce Young to kind of show people what he really should have been last year and what they think he'll be going forward.
So there you go. There's Ian Rappaport from Panthers camp kind of laying it out. What are you smirking about?
I always laugh when there are certain people who are like, man, you don't know anything about football. And they're like,
mostly Carolina fans.
No.
I'm kidding.
In this specific instance, it's like, well, you played in high school, your dad was coach, whatever, but like, you don't know. Sure enough, I don't know vernacular.
Sure.
No. The first person to tell you that, like Eli Drinkwitz was one I used to have this conversation with a lot.
Nice.
And he would try to tell me, you chart these plays, but you don't really know anything about football. Last year, we can go back and find the tape if you really want to. Well, a one preseason game under Frank Reich, I said Bryce Young is much better under center.
I remember.
Than he is in the shotgun because he's not really a threat on the read option.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just going to put him in the shotgun and make him throw the ball all over the yard, not even Tom Brady can do that.
No.
Okay? Not even the best quarterback in the NFL can do that. You can't set him up for failure that way. what we've seen from the 49ers, from the Rams, from Dave Canales with Baker Mayfield last year in Tampa, Seattle when he was with Geno Smith, when you put a guy under center and you have the threat of running the play action and running the football, you keep the defense on their toes. This is football 101. So I'm not some genius coming up with this, but I literally said on this show after one preseason half last year, the Panthers would be better off putting him under center and putting him in a position where they're at least the defense has to guess. So here's Canales. And of course, whatever Ian is saying is coming straight from Canales.
Of course it is.
Which is fine. This is what Canales should do.
Yeah.
But what does he say? He's going to be under center more. We're going to be more effective. We're going to put him in situations like a Shanahan would, like a McVay would, to keep you guessing and to give him the best chance to be successful.
I'll say this. The other thing to keep an eye on, or the thing that I'm confident about, and you heard Ian sort of reference it there, but he didn't go deeper because, again, it's a TV hit. Bryce Young was never comfortable because Bryce Young was being micromanaged last year. Go back to a Jonathan Jones CBS Sports story about too many cooks in the kitchen, too much.
Yeah.
People misinterpreted what Jonathan was reporting when he said that they were throwing too much information at him as though he could not process all this. No, it wasn't about information. It was about too many voices with too many opinions coming at him. And it was basically paralysis by analysis for Bryce Young. And never forget that Frank Reich's, one of the big mistakes that Frank Reich made is he would not give up the play calling. And then when they did give up the play calling, he was never comfortable with it and they took it back. So to me, I think with Canales and how they streamline things, that will ultimately benefit Bryce Young, and we'll get a better sense of what he actually is this year compared to last year. The worry was always, was last year so terrible for Bryce Young that it mentally broke him? And I think Canales and his positivity has helped kind of shape him back towards it. I was talking to Darren Gant and Julian Council when we were up in Charlotte for ACC kickoff when I had dinner with them. And I was asking him, like, are things visibly different? And Darren, who's there all the time, said, yes. Yeah, like you're actually getting to see a little bit more personality from Bryce Young that just really wasn't allowed to flourish last year because everything behind the building was just kind of a mess. And I think that's clearly a change in what we've seen with Canales and what leads people to be actually optimistic about the Panthers.
I mean, DraftKings has the Panthers win total at 4.5. I really do believe they're going to win 6, 7, maybe even 8 games this year. Only because, you, again, a lot of it does depend on health. And we got to go back and look at last year and realize 40% of their offensive line was gone by week 2.
Yeah, man.
Like there's just, I don't care who you are. You're going to have a lot of problems with that, especially when you don't have overwhelming skill at the receiver positions and the running back positions.